Hi, it's Sean, the Fluency Awesomeizer. Here's another video where I want to take a few minutes and help you decode big words, to read big words, and also give you some spelling tips too. Now, I've got two pairs of words I want to take a look at today. So here's the first round. I'm about to show you a word, and I want you to read it right out loud to whoever you're there with. What is this word? All right, how about this word? Boy, these words are really similar. That top word is applies. The bottom word is apples. Did you think or read apples, though, when you read applies? I don't know. It's possible. We're going to compare them. But first, I want you to think about the fable, The Tortoise and the Hare, and the moral of the story. Slow and steady wins the race, which makes a lot of sense if you're in some sort of a race. But the lesson of that fable really is slow and steady. It's a life lesson. One area of your life where you should take things slow and steady, in my opinion, is when you're reading big words or unfamiliar words like applies. Right? I'm sure applies is an easy word for a lot of you, but it's tricky to read. And the tortoise is going to come along to a word like applies, going to be very responsible, read it slow and steady. But a lot of readers are like the hare. You want to get it done quickly and get to the finish line, get this thing done and over with, and you might zip through a word like applies and make a mistake. So before we compare words today, which reader are you? Are you the tortoise or the hare? See the difference? I recommend being the tortoise. All right. Now let's compare by looking at the confusion between applies and what the hare might read, apples. All right. How would you confuse those two words? Well, applies has the same letters as apples, except there's an I there towards the end. So if you're like the hare might come along to the word, or the word applies might come along when the hare's reading. And if the hare zips through, it's very easy to omit that I, to take that I out, and suddenly applies looks like apples. And I can tell you it is a very common behavior for readers to ignore that I, just skip right over it. I call it the lost I. Anyway, that's how you can confuse applies with apples. Right now, let's take a look at where this word applies comes from. The root is apply. It has several meanings. You can apply yourself at school. You can, when you get older, you can apply for a job or apply for college. Right? We use the word apply for lots of reasons. One version of apply is applies. Now we're not gonna spell it like this. Just put an S on the root word. There's a rule we have to recall: the drop Y, add I rule. So we're going to drop that Y and add an I, then an ES, and that's how you spell applies. You have to remember, drop Y, add an I. You can drop Y, this is sign language I, and add an I, sign language Y, add an I, sign language. Why is language such a difficult word? Drop Y, add an I. Why? Because I said so. That's why. All right, it's one way to remember that. Now, that's the story of applies. Here's the second round. Two more words for you. I'm about to show you a word. Read it right out loud to whoever you're there with. What is this word? All right, how about this one? They're really similar. That top word is applause. And down below is applesauce. And I'm curious to take a look at these two, compare them, and see how they might be confused with one, how they might be confused with each other. First, a reminder to take it slow and steady when you come to big words or unknown words like applause. All right, tortoise is going to be very responsible. Applause, hopefully say applause. The hare might zip through though, make a mistake. So be the tortoise. Now, to compare these two, we're going to look at the syllables. Applause. The red is the stressed syllable. Applause is a two-syllable word, and apple sauce is a three-syllable word. Big difference. Now, the confusion. How could you confuse the word applause with applesauce? Well, applause has app as a PL, like applesauce, and it has AUSE ending, which is really similar to the ending of applesauce, as you can see. So how can you confuse it? Well, the hare might come along and rush through the word applause and add an S, all right? And that is a very common mistake, to add an S where there isn't an S. And if you do that in the middle of applause, your brain might think it says applesauce, right? So it's something to look at. So it's kind of a curious thing here. Maybe you thought applesauce when you went to read applause, especially since we were talking about apples earlier. Now, the root words. The root word of applause is an old Latin word, applaudere. Applaudere in Latin means to approve by clapping hands. All right, makes sense to me, right? Bravo, bravo. It's also a, there are the hands now. Applaudere. And it's also a Latin word, applausus, which in Latin means praise. And you're familiar with praise from school. Everyone's always telling you great job or good job, all those things that teachers tell you and your parents tell you when you're doing a good job. That's praise. And that's the story of applause. We have the word applause from those Latin words. And you know, you're familiar with applause when you watch TV. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, how about a nice round of applause? You know, TV shows, when you watch a TV show where there's a lot of applause, there's a sign telling the audience to applause. Right? It's a direction. That's why there's always laughing and applause in some of those favorite shows of yours. Now, the story of applesauce is pretty simple. It is a compound word, apple sauce. But here's an interesting story about the word sauce. It's French. We get that word sauce from the French language. And the French language got it from salsa, right? And you probably are thinking salsa with tortilla chips or nacho chips as a Spanish word. Well, actually, salsa is another Latin word, right? And salsa in Latin means salty food. That's where the word salsa comes from, right? And of course, it's used for that delicious dip with chips, salsa, and it was the word sauce in French, and that's where we get it in English. Pretty cool story. All right, that's today's video. Subscribe to my YouTube channel or follow me on Facebook at the Fluency Awesomeizer, where you can find lots more videos like this, certainly at my YouTube channel. At my Facebook page, Mom or Dad can find lots of reading exercises just like these in my photos, all right? And they are really great at helping you awesomize your fluency. I challenge you to read any one of them out loud from start to finish. See how well you can do, all right? Okay, that's gonna do it. I hope you enjoyed the video. Come back and see me soon here at the Fluency Awesomeizer. All right, bye.